Hello, welcome to my next video on triads. In the last video, the first video of this triad series, we talked about the root position, the different inversions, and the triads who are stretched, who are not on consecutive strings. In this series, I want to start to bring to your attention how you can add triad pairs to your playing. And what we do, we go into modes. We talk about the typical modes, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Mixolydian, and all this stuff, and how we can apply the triads to these scales when we comp in these scales, but also when we solo over these scales. Let's start with E, and let's start with Mixolydian. I'm choosing E because then I can use the low E string as a bass note, so it's better for your ear to have a root. What you can do is you can make a pair of two triads, and this pair of two triads are a whole step. There's a whole step between these two triads. When you look in a scale, in a major scale, and you would harmonize every position on the major scale, you would see that on the fourth or the fifth position, you have a major triad. So when we talk about the key of A major, and we would harmonize every note, we would have an A major triad, a B minor triad, a C sharp minor triad, a D major triad, and an E major triad. The fourth subdominant chord, and the 5 dominant chord. So these two positions, the fourth and the fifth position, we would call a triad pair. We would have a D triad and an E triad. D and an E, and an E and an E. And as you see, I'm more or less using these triads to go up and down the scale. Because as an example, we are in the key of A major. I start on the B now because I have an open B string. That's all. Would be an E chord, D chord, E chord, D chord, E chord, D chord, E chord. We have the octave. Note, the E, then we hear E Mixolydian, and we can start on the E string too, so it's no problem. So E, D, E, D, E, D, E, perfect Mixolydian scale. Sorry, I'm fucked up. So this is a nice way to play chord solos with triads. So I picked E Mixolydian, but in future issues of this series, I will show you how you work on this on the other modes. And just pick the popular one. Mixolydian is a mode we use a lot, we need a lot. So one thing Joe Diorio once said to me, this is a sentence all my students know: if you want to play better lines, play better chords. What does he mean with this? Well, the secret in a good line is in a good knowledge about harmony. So when I'm building a line, when I want to play in E Mixolydian, the the reason why I change certain notes, making this decision, will reflect the quality of my line. As an example, I could play only with these little arpeggios. The D arpeggio, the E arpeggio, the D arpeggio, the E major, the D, D, E, D, E, D, E. Everything I played in the beginning was a D triad or an E triad. Maybe you play it all up the scale. D, root third fifth, E. The next I start D on the third, fifth, root. The next I start E on the third, fifth, root. Now I start D on the fifth. Now I start E on the fifth. So when I mix this with scales and other arpeggios, you're getting a pretty good sound. And all this sounds really like E mixolydian. It's not sounding like this. It makes no sense to play the scale up and down. You're only getting very dull sounding lines. If you want to build hipper lines, you better choose better notes. Where do you find the notes? One way to find better notes, better note combination, use a triad pair. I learned this trick from Mike Stern, and I thought when Mike Stern is doing this, it's maybe something I could use too. So if you don't believe me, believe Joe DiOrio and believe Mike Stern. Okay. So for you to practice to play the arpeggios of the two triads for soloing. Practice the voicings of the two triads for comping. Like this on the 2-5-1. 5-1. So my 5 is not only an E7 chord, which goes to A. My 5 chord is an E triad with the E in the bass, a D triad with the E in the bass, and then I go to the 1 chord. Or if I build a 2-5-1, I say, well, let's play a 2, a 5, triad. You see? This can sound pretty pop music, pretty simple, or you can go to more jazzier sound when you combine these triad pairs with more jazzier chords. So it's not so much about jazz or not jazz, it's about knowing music or not knowing music. I hope this inspires you and you can use this information in your playing and you have fun practicing it. If you like my stuff, please subscribe to my channel. Please give me a thumb up or leave something in the comment. And I hope you see you in my next video. Bye bye.